And now I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing the sound. Wonderful. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and jump back into our seminar today. And before we jump into the regular thing, let me get rid of this little thing. Okay. I want to take a moment and just thank you so much. I know I sent out the email, but I also want you to hear it from my heart, hear it from my own mouth. There's no way we can do Unlock without y'all. Like there's just no way. We actually used to try to do it without y'all. The numbers were lower. There wasn't the attendance now is over 200. And there's absolutely no way that we could do it. And not only that, the students they just love y'all. Like they love getting to hang with y'all. They like getting to see you in presentations and um so they just like getting to see you there. So that's really exciting. And thank you so much. I could tell that not only were you there, but you had a positive attitude. In fact, I got to hear several conversations that some of you were having. Although I spend a lot of my time in that little room doing some behind, like all the logistic behind the scenes stuff, I still get to bop in and out sometimes. And it was very neat to see some of the conversations that you were having, not just with the participants, but with some of your professors that you got to spend time with and with each other. Most of what you've gotten to spend time with is in class. So it's kind of neat to see you in a different way like that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope that you find it a good opportunity to sharpen your professional presentation skills. That's one of the things that I didn't have an opportunity to do. And when I first jumped into teaching, there were some really great opportunities, and I had never done it before. I'd never had that practice before. And it's a wonderful practice to have the opportunity to present, to put together something like that, a session. It's very needed. You're going to see that you may feel like the new kid on the block, so to speak, at whatever school you go to, and you are going to be the new kid on the block. But because of the teacher preparation program that you have, you may know more than some of the quote unquote experienced teachers. It's true because some of the teachers that you're going to be teaching with may not have a formal teacher preparation background. So you may actually have some experiences and some knowledge to share. You might feel novice, but you actually have more to share. So before we move on, I want to see if you have any comments or questions about either Unlock or about the processes and procedures for scheduling your first pop. A lot of y'all have already started that with me. Some of you have finished scheduling it. Any questions, comments, concerns? No?
I haven't done mine yet because I needed to talk to you just because I know you said it'd be easier for you in the afternoon, but I know I tried to have my
No. Just Friday
no.
afternoon. Just Friday afternoon. Wednesday,
Okay, I misunderstood that then.
sorry, maybe I
Oh no.
miscommunicated.
Okay,
Wednesday
never mind then.
all day is good. Thursday all day is good, and Friday afternoon. And those would be better for me to be able to be physically present. Like I'm letting you know up front, those are the times that it
Yeah.
lends itself. If it does not work out that way for you and your mentor, then obviously we do what works best for y'all and for those
Yeah.
P12 students. I just wanted to be upfront and let you know those are my best times. Yeah. No, Brooklyn, a morning would be fine. Like a Wednesday or Thursday. If your best class is in the morning, then yeah, absolutely. I'm locked down pretty much. My schedule's pretty locked down other times. Sometimes Monday afternoons, I can get in the field. Sometimes I can do that. And sometimes Monday morning before we get on seminar, I can. But for sure, Wednesdays all day, Thursdays all day, and then Friday afternoons sometimes, but those are better. And I wanted to let y'all know those up front because I'm trying, like I did in the fall, I'm trying to really front load our semester and make sure that I'm in person as much as possible in the beginning because your CPSB nor Beauregard Parish have released their testing schedules yet as of Friday. They've not released those yet. I have a feeling that I know why they haven't released them yet. The state window is earlier than it usually is. The state window for testing usually doesn't open until March, but they actually opened it up in February this year. So there's some things that I know will probably be easier is I know that they're really trying to streamline testing as much as possible because the students have one-to-one now. I don't know how much they're going to be able to lean into that because they have to do things on those devices to make them secure for testing. So I don't think students can just use their own. So it gets kind of wonky for testing time. And there are a couple of schools that won't even let me in your room. Like I can't even, like if it's during the testing window, they like have sections of the school shut down. I'm not allowed to go in there. Like nobody's, because they're trying to keep it secure. So testing I know is going to be an issue. And I also know that I've got a couple of professional conferences at the end of the semester that again, that's kind of when my travel gets a little wonky. So I'm trying, like I did last time, to really front load as much as possible and be there. But we as usual, we do the very best that we can do. So thank goodness for videoing. We will be using our same process to video. No changes there. We checked about if we were moving to a different platform. We will not be moving this semester. We will not be moving to Swivel until the fall. So we will be using our same processes and procedures for videoing. No changes there. If you need to check out an iPad, Mr. DeWitt is up and ready to do those checkouts for you for the whole semester. He can check out an iPad to you for the whole semester. And that is Mr. Daniel DeWitt. He's in Legacy. And you could email him in advance and he can have everything ready and you just go by and pick up the iPad. Brooklyn?
Yes. So, I was just wondering, I don't know if everyone else's does this, but for mine, it always tells me that my OneDrive video is going to expire. So like I've always, as if I catch the email, I always renew it. Is that gonna be an issue? I didn't know if like y'all needed those videos for the state to prove that we've been doing what we're doing, but like I don't know about anyone else's, but like I always get an email on my Outlook that says the video you published in your OneDrive is about to expire, and like you can renew it, but like I'm always scared I'm gonna miss the email and then like my videos are gonna be gone one day.
Please renew it and let me ask Dr. Robichaux
Okay.
because
Because like I know like I don't know how like I'm especially from last semester like I always renewed them so that you could always review them and look on them for last semester, and like I just don't know like I haven't, yeah, I don't know, I don't even know if anyone else has that problem, but mine's showing that. And I've always had an issue with the videoing. I don't know what it is. I'm probably just not techie. But like last time I went to video my pop, I'm serious.
I
Last time I
know.
went to video my pop, I literally used I had my I had my iPad going on whatever the meetings, and for whatever reason, and it was crazy because I practiced it beforehand, my team's meetings would not record for whatever reason. And it stressed me out. And luckily I had my phone recording the whole thing too, just in case. And I'm glad I did because like,
No,
yeah, so it's
it,
just a stressful thing for me because
it is.
like, but
I,
yeah, most importantly, I know like the meeting things, I don't know what that was, but most importantly, the renewal stuff. Like I don't understand like why
Are
it keeps
any,
on
are y'all
deleting.
getting the expiration? Is anybody else getting anything about expiration? No, no. Okay.
I don't even know why. Like I've gotten emails that's like, please renew your video because it will expire.
It's only if you film with the teams. It says that it'll expire on the Teams app.
But it doesn't go away for good, Courtney?
I'm not sure because I didn't know, so I started filming on the actual iPad camera app and deleting it from the iPad after I uploaded it.
And you're having more success with that too, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
How about that, Brooklyn? You can actually check out an iPad from, again, from Mr. DeWitt and use it the whole semester and then just
Yeah.
check it back in like final workshop, bring it with you and check it back into him.
Okay.
That might be your best bet. I mean, it might be worth a trip over to Legacy just to check out an iPad just to use for your videoing. I know several of
Yeah.
y'all have done that.
So my old videos though, do I need to keep on renewing them so that they
If you don't mind, do it for now. And I'm going to check with Dr. Robichaux. There might be a way on my end that I can actually like download them. And I'm going to go
yeah.
in and
I'm just not sure like why it
yeah.
does that and if it's like a one because I don't know if it's necessarily like Courtney was saying, I don't know if it's an email I get on my I think it's an email I get on my OneDrive stating that my Teams meetings will expire.
Yeah.
But like I've uploaded videos that weren't through Teams on there and they don't have an issue. I don't think.
Yeah. So
But
it's
yeah.
probably the team situation. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Courtney. That helps solve it a lot. That help us kind of figure out why. Just a funny story. Last semester I walked into one of my students, the 333 and 337 class. They do a field lesson, and and it's their only one they do, like it's just the one. And I walked into the room. There was, I promise, it's like the paparazzi was in there. This this student had an iPad going, a phone was back there, his laptop was up, and then one of the teacher's laptops was up going, and they were all on these filing cabinets in the back of the room. And when I saw all of their video, I was like, I kind of looked at him and I was like, look, and when he was like, I'm covered. I'm covered. Something's got to. It's like, I know. He was so worried. He was like, I don't, he kind of waited a little bit late in the semester to do his lesson. He was kind of like waiting right till the last minute to do that field lesson. And I guess he was so concerned that he wasn't going to have time. If it didn't work, he really didn't have time to redo it because the students were going on Thanksgiving break. He wasn't going to have any kids to teach to. So he was like to the wire getting that in, but he had 4 different cameras in the back getting it. I was like, that's amazing. Like that is so anyway, I know that it's a blessing because it helps us make sure that we're getting everything we're supposed to be getting. But yes, technology can also be very, very frustrating. I'm very aware. And I appreciate how hard y'all work to make sure you're capturing everything. I've noticed several of you're really working on making sure that it's in the perfect place, like that I get a good view of you and the students, and like if there's an air conditioner or something, you have it positioned where it's not in a bad spot for me to be able to hear, and it's great. So thank you. I appreciate it. Even if I'm there, like even I can see myself sometimes walk in. It's nice. I can still go back and look at certain parts of it because when I'm there with you, I'm really kind of in the moment. I'm definitely trying to get the notes. I'm capturing everything, but it's nice to go back and look, revisit specific portions of it. So it's good. It's a pain, but it's good. But thank you, Brooklyn. Until I can kind of figure that out, yes, please just keep hitting renew. I'm going to try to just download your stuff, and that way you won't have to worry about it. Good question. Anybody else? Awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to continue what we started last week, which is the mentee initiated mentoring. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our PowerPoint that we were using, and gonna kind of walk through this. So we had started talking about why mentoring is so important, and we had looked at some of these fictional characters who serve as mentors. Some that are just so iconic that all we need is just a tiny little line from them, and we know exactly who we're talking about here. We also reflected a little bit about why mentors even matter. And then we looked at the objectives for what we want to accomplish with this particular module, which is module 1. We want to identify the role and characteristics of an effective mentor. We want to evaluate and describe the mentor attributes that are most important to you. And we want to assess and articulate your expectations for a mentor. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I mentioned this last time. Dr. Williams works really closely with the clinical practices district partners that she pairs you with. And I always think it's amazing how much thought goes into who they put you with. Definitely, we know that it's important that you have the correct content area and that you have the correct, concentration for what you're studying. But even more than that, there's a lot of thought that goes into the personalities, that goes into the affinity grouping, is kind of what they call it. And Dr. Williams even talks about how it can be more challenging in secondary to do that because we're so limited. I often use Courtney as an example. Courtney is biology, but when we get into those advanced sciences, there's a chemistry concentration, there's a physics concentration, there's even a physical science concentration. And so that can be kind of challenging sometimes to make sure that you're really matching it with the correct concentration. That you're going to note that once you get into your own classroom, which will be very soon, for many of you, we're talking months now. We're not talking a year anymore. You're literally months away from having your own job, being in your own classroom, and having a school. And that's why we want you to start considering, especially in secondary, kind of empowering you to seek out your own mentors in a way that's organic and in a way that is intentional, that you've really put thought into. It's a very important part of it. And it's not something that secondary is, let's just put it this way. Elementary typically does a much better job than secondary. Secondary we tend to get in our own silos, and you probably can see this already. Each department kind of has its own little silo that works together. And you may not even know anybody that teaches in a different department right now. And there are good things about that, but there are also really negative things about that within a school system. It can really cause you to feel very, very isolated. And that is something that can, especially for a new teacher, it can really break you because sometimes you feel very alone in the work. So I want us to take a moment, and we're going to actually watch this video. I went ahead and queued it just to make sure that we didn't have to listen to more commercials than was necessary. So I want us to take just a minute. I think we might have watched this last time, but that was 2 weeks ago. It's a really short video, so I want us to watch it again. It's a brief video.
My name is Lonnie Ray Pomeroy, and I love to teach.
My name is Leticia Cabrera, and I love to teach.
My name is Morgan Dalton, and I love to teach.
Going into my first year, I was really nervous about all the stuff they didn't teach me in college. With my mentor teacher, he made me feel really comfortable with just introducing my personality into my class.
As a new teacher, you're always still learning. You're trying to implement new things in your practice. So it's always nice to have those veteran teachers or professionals to kind of lean your shoulder on a little bit and then kind of bounce ideas off of.
I doubted myself a few times. It was so stressful, but having my mentor, I would talk to her and it would just help me and bring me back to, my senses. I'd be like, okay, no, I am gonna be okay.
If no one did that for me, I wouldn't be the type of teacher that I am now.
They've had those same struggles, so then they can help kind of hold your hand and guide you in that transition from college to the actual classroom.
And she actually took me step by step through the process of what good teaching should look like. And she would model lessons and she would provide support and really that encouragement component on the days where I just felt like I couldn't go any further. And even after our 2 years were over, she continues to pop in. She continues to check in on me. And as I told her that I was looking at the national board process, she continues to encourage that and to support.
And it was really just nice to have somebody there just kind of, put his hand on my shoulder and just say, hey, it's going to be all right.
Here in Arizona, we have such a diverse, community. So even though it's not just an ELL class, we have a lot of students that, can benefit from that.
I really like the idea of a mentor-teacher program, and I could see me being that person, being a mentor-teacher to new teachers in the future. And I feel like this is a way that I'm able to give back.
I really don't know that I would have been as ready and as comfortable to take on that role had she not have provided such great support during those first years. But I really do believe that mentors could really help you, give you the support that you need. I mean, I couldn't see myself without one. I would have not been able to survive my first year without my mentor.
All right, so the point of my showing you this is just to kind of give some voice to why mentors matter. And I wanted you to consider aspects of it that resonated with your own hopes and your own expectations of a mentor-mentee relationship. In that video, what comments stood out to you maybe as recurring? What are some things that you use to define an effective mentor? What are some words or phrases that you would use? And what are some of your own hopes and expectations for a mentor? So I'm talking about not the one that you have right now, although you might be able to use that as a model, but in the future, when you're maybe in a different school system, what are some things that stand out to you that you are seeking for in a mentor? So you can just come off mute.
I think good communication is probably one of the most important things.
Yep. That's key, Samantha. Very important. Anybody else want to add to that?
Also somebody who is patient and understanding that, we're new. I mean, we get a full year of residency now, but still we're I want to say spoon fed, but we still have it's not our classroom. We are molding ourselves to kind of fit our mentor, resident mentor teacher's classroom.
Yep.
But whenever it's just you on your own and you kind of get to start your own way and continue having somebody who is understanding to help you and be patient with your mistakes or questions. And if you have a million questions to answer all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So communication, I hear patience. And an underlying thing I'm hearing you say, Maggie, is, developing your own teacher style and persona and somebody who's going to support that aspect of it as well. Yeah. Yeah. Can I have at least one more of you come up? Either something that stood out from the video or maybe some of your hopes and expectations. Courtney?
Someone that can provide reassurance on those bad days where you feel like you're not meeting the mark.
Yes, that's so important. And you will have those days. It's inevitable that you will have those days. And you really, number one, need somebody that you can go to, but you also need that person who's going to check in with you and know you well enough to be able to pick up on those signs she needs to talk today, or, she needs to vent. So within whatever school system you're in, there is a very good chance that you may have an assigned mentor, like your first year. Different districts are handling this different ways. Different schools are handling this different ways. So there is a chance that you could have an assigned mentor. That is wonderful. Like, thank goodness that there are people who are signing up to do that and to be that. And that is fantastic. That's great. So that's what we call an assigned mentor. Okay. They're wonderful. The second thing that you're going to have is called the proximity mentor. This just happens to be the person who's next door to you or across the hall from you. This is the emergency one. This is the one that you talk to in between classes. Okay. This one is extremely important too. And let me tell you why. Sometimes this one actually happens to be the assigned one. Okay. Principals are trying to be very strategic with this, but many times it's not. This is not your assigned mentor, but they're very, very important. These are the people who see you. They actually get the most face time with you probably. This person has such a huge impact on you. I cannot express to you how important that proximity mentor is. That proximity mentor helps you set the tone for your day. They're the ones that when you come back from faculty meetings in the hall, you're dishing out together what you heard in the faculty meeting. So it is so important that you figure out, is this person going to add value to my experience, or is this person going to bring me down? Do you hear what I'm saying? Are you reading between the lines, so to speak here? They can be super positive and they can speak life into your experience, or they can be negative and they can speak death into your every single day. And you right off the bat have to understand what kind of quote unquote mentor that is, because they're there. Whether you didn't pick them to be there, you just got this class. So you're going to have your assigned one, you're going to have your proximity one. And here's the third one I want to tell you about. The one or ones you pick yourself. The one or ones that you pick yourself. That's the one I want to train you on how to do it. No one taught me how to do this. There's no class on this. Nobody assigns it. But these are the ones that you are going to seek out yourself. And those are the ones we're going to focus on. Samantha mentioned communication. Maggie mentioned patience. Courtney mentioned reassurance and that encouragement. So you already know kind of the things you need to be looking for. And you may actually get those in your assigned, and you may get them in your proximity. But even if you don't, I want to teach you how to find those people on your campus. Okay. So at the end of this module, we want to be able to explain the purpose of a mentor, especially to the education profession. We want to identify the attributes and the skills of an effective mentor. We want to compose a response which describes the qualities we seek in a mentor and the expectations we have for the relationship. And we want to share the response from our peers in an online format. And we're going to have a little opportunity to do that at the very end today. So what is a mentor? According to LDOE, mentoring is the process by which a trusted, look at these terms here, trusted and experienced person takes a personal and direct interest in the development and education of a less experienced individual. Most professions have an internship program, which is a form of professional mentorship. Have you or someone you know ever participated in this type of partnership? Of course, you're in one right now in residency, but I want you to think about other professions that have an internship. I know accounting, all of our business classes, they all have internships. Some of them are paid, some of them are unpaid. Law school has an internship. The medical profession has one. They actually call theirs residency, and they have to do it in all these different type of concentrations. Their general practice, they have to do it in surgical practice. They have to, residency has them. So part of becoming a professional is understanding your role as a novice. Even if you have a lot of education, if you don't have a lot of experience in that world, you are considered a novice. And it is wise to get mentors. So I want us to brainstorm about this prompt. Why is mentoring an essential part of the profession of teaching? So why is mentoring essential? And notice that's bold here. So I'd like 3 of you to come off and tell me why, just what you know so far about the practice of teaching, mentorship is essential.
I guess really just so that the new teachers that come in and everyone else, they don't feel alone. Like it's not like they're just tossed in the deep end, because I feel like if teachers were just more or less tossed in the deep end, we'd have even a greater teacher shortage because no one would know what to do.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think that especially because in education, like we're always taught like one size doesn't fit all. And so like you can't teach students exactly the same, and having mentors like helps you like incorporate new things that you wouldn't have thought about, and it helps your students to have like maybe another voice that's helping you find different ways to reach those students, and they might have had those students beforehand and they know those students sometimes as well.
Yep, very good. Very good. I love how you, in that one, you really highlighted on how specifically they can help you reach students. Like that's the whole point of, what we're doing. Lorraine?
Yes, I think that a good mentor would be they model what good teaching actually looks like.
Yep. And in that modeling, so that might be one of the things you want to consider and think about, especially in some of your advanced content areas that you're teaching. Think about mentors that would let you sit in, like maybe twice a month during your planning period. If you could say, hey, can I just sit in your class? I'd like to watch you teach this lesson. I'd like to see how you do, teach this particular skill or something. Think about people that would let you sit in on their classes. That's very important to gain those skills. Lisa, I saw you come off as well. Do you have something to add?
I mean, there are several things. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think sometimes just them sharing their procedures and the reason behind why they have these procedures in class. Because I feel like classroom management is going to be one of my biggest things I need to work on. So just knowing, my mentor's procedures and the reason behind it, and maybe the reason behind why maybe they don't have these other procedures in place that I would think they would, is definitely going to be essential for me.
So can anybody raise your hand and say, yes, Lisa, I agree with you. Classroom management might be an issue for me too. And it would be great to get some insight, from a more experienced teacher about why the reasoning behind some of these things, and look at different procedures. Some of you I just want to give you a heads up. Some of you are teaching in advanced content areas right now. It just so happened that that's the way it fell out for the credentialing, for the mentoring. It's probably unlikely that those are going to be the type of students that you teach right off the bat in your first job. Like it's very unlikely. I'll be very honest with you. There's a chance, but it is more likely that you probably will not be teaching in an advanced setting, or at least not all of your classes are going to be an advanced setting. And so it's going to be important, classroom management and really understanding the reasoning behind some of those decisions. Yes, I agree. That's going to be very important. So great point. Excellent point. It is essential. So right here, you just brought up 4 different things about why it is essential. And we could probably spend a lot of time on this slide about why. We know it's important, and we know that mentoring is essential to the development of our novice teachers. So I want us to take just a moment, and I'm going to actually put this in the chat. It's a little article. It's a quick read. It's not long. Let me pull it up right here. But I'd like us to just take about 5 minutes. And I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to drop this in the chat. If I can find my chat, it disappears on me. Okay, so it's a little link to this little article. And let me set the expectations for what you're going to be doing. So I want you to take about 5 minutes to read through this article. And as you read, I want you to consider the following. What are some unique challenges of the teaching profession that new teachers encounter? How can mentors help teachers overcome those challenges? And what are the implications for student outcomes? So take just a moment, read through this article like 5 minutes, and then consider these questions. And I'll leave the questions up. So we'll do 5 minutes. It's 10:09. So at about 10:15, you can put your video off if it's awkward for you to read. And All right. Let's take that first question. What are some unique challenges? And you can use what you got from the article and feel free to use your own experience from residency as well to add to this. So what are some unique challenges of the teaching profession that new teachers encounter?
Something new, well, that it mentioned, but truth is now we're struggling with post-pandemic life. I mean, that's something even trained professional teachers who've been here for years are dealing with. And then uniquely here, we have on top of that, the extra time from the hurricane that students missed after they were allowed to be back in school partially as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Great point. So you bring about, Maggie, that's challenging for experienced teachers, much less, novice. So fantastic.
New teachers are expected to do just as much, if not more stuff is put on them as veteran teachers.
It is. I'd like to say that I feel like in some areas that might be getting a little bit better. I know that principals are trying, and I know that district leadership is aware that it's a problem. Like if we're going to retain teachers, we've got to consider, certain aspects of their development and what tasks that we're giving them to do. But that is correct. As the article stated, and as probably as your experience, you're still going to be responsible for testing, test scores. You're still going to be responsible, just like an experienced teacher is, for certain aspects of curriculum and overall guidance. So yeah. Is there one more unique challenge? Let me just give you for example, Courtney, that would highlight what we're saying here. Other professions have much longer residencies before someone is given full responsibility. So for example, if you think about the medical profession, before a doctor is actually given real live patients, depending on what their concentration is, it's going to be a minimum of 3 years that they're working in different types of clinical settings with another professional. But for teaching, we just now have 1 year, just now. If you think about any business type of situation, they're not given the same quotas. Brand new people are not given the same types of quotas that experienced people are, but teachers are. We're given the same type of workload and expectations as experienced teachers. So that's a really great point. Was there any other unique challenge that stood out to you about the teaching profession? All right, let's go to the next bullet. How can mentors help new teachers overcome those challenges? And these might actually go together, these next two. What are the implications for students? So these might go together, these two bullets, and that's okay. So what did you glean from the article about that, Samantha?
Mentors can just regularly check in with their teacher. And, talk about their goals and challenges.
Absolutely. And so the regular check-in, and this is where I want you to think about what I told you. So let's say, for example, that your assigned mentor, if you end up with a testing class, so let's say that you end up with a class that's a LEAP 2025 class, chances are your mentor is probably going to also teach that content or something very comparable, because that's so important for the school's SPS. So your assigned mentor is probably going to be based on content and what you teach. They may not be, that assigned mentor may not actually teach on your hall And if you're in a really big school, they might not even have the same lunch period that you have. They may, but they may not. So that assigned mentor might not actually be in close proximity to you. And that's where I'm kind of trying to give you a heads up for learning how to seek out your own mentor, because those regular check-ins, that's something that needs to happen almost daily at the beginning to promote your well-being. It doesn't mean you need to have a whole long 30-minute, an hour-long conversation, but almost a daily check-in. If they're on the other side of campus, you might only see them once a week. Those of you who are in big schools, you know what I'm talking about. There are some people when you go to faculty meetings, there's probably people you've never even seen. You're like, who is that? He teaches here. Oh, really? Never seen him before. Like, I mean, so yes, the mentor situation, the regular check-in, that's very important. What's another thing that mentors can do to help new teachers?
One thing
They can help.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I liked where it said that they can bring you into their community, an informal way of including you and sharing what, things that they do that works and doesn't work. And like last week, I had a conversation with one of the 8th grade math teachers, and we monitor them like when they take their tests. But one thing that she said that I never, even considered because of the kind of students I have, but she has to watch to make sure they don't email each other during a test.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, we monitor the students, but I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So you learn things when you're in, their community and they share what they do.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Lorraine, so I actually piloted 1-to-1 years ago before they had it. And I had wonderful students. They were great. But we didn't have all the firewalls up that we have now. And so I found that some of my wonderful, precious, would never do anything wrong, just highest integrity students, they were using the instant message forum in an online game that they played. They were smart enough to realize that their email could be tracked, but that little forum in their online game, that little chat box that would come up, and I didn't even know what that little thing was in the bottom of their, like, I didn't even know what it was. And one day I said, click on that, let me see. And he looked at me with absolute terror in his eyes because he knew. And the minute he clicked on it, their whole conversation came up, and it was all of them in the class. And the funny thing about it was they had actually been writing an essay. And so what they were kind of doing like an informal brainstorming in their little chat box. So it wasn't like outright cheating, but it was really close. And I would have never thought of that, like I would have never thought of that. So yeah, those are the kind of things, the little insider knowledge that an experienced teacher is going to be able to share and connect with, and kind of help give you some insight about not just what it is, but how to deal with it. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Lisa?
My idea was similar. It was about connection and just using your mentor to where she can introduce you and connect with other teachers.
Yeah. And then ultimately, let's talk about what are the implications for your P12 learners. So when you've got this sort of input for you as a novice teacher, it can only benefit those P12 learners. They're going to get better resources. Because your mentors are going to be sharing them with you. They're going to get that sharper classroom management, like you talked about. They are going to benefit from everything that mentor shares with you. So let's look at this next little chart right here. Let me enlarge it for you. So I want you to think about this, and we've kind of touched on some of these, but this is a really pretty famous chart. It's from Killian and Harrison. They've done a lot of research on teacher mentoring. These are the 6 what they call critical attributes of mentors. And I want you to think about which 2 or 3 you feel are the most important. So let's take just a minute to kind of digest this chart. We've got beliefs. So an effective mentor who is strong in the beliefs is also willing to learn, has a passion for ongoing professional learning. So take a minute to look at those bullets for beliefs. Then the next one is teaching expertise. So this one is skilled in instructional planning, demonstrates success in his or her work as a classroom teacher, reflects on practice, fluent in multiple methods. So take a minute and look right here at the middle, that teaching expertise, those bullet points. Take a minute to look at coaching skills. Coaching skills, understands and applies knowledge about adult development, diagnoses teachers' needs, aligns support to teachers' identified needs. Slide over to relationship skills. Has good interpersonal relationships, wants to be part of a team, fosters trust. Has patience for the learning process. Take a minute to look at content expertise. And then lastly, that right corner, leadership skills. Stays abreast of best practices, engages others in developing plans for improvement, maintains a productive culture. And you might be able to think of others. These are what they consider the 6 critical attributes. You might actually think of others that are not listed here. So for this week, let me escape, get out of this. Okay. So for this week, what I want you to do, we're going to stop it right here. But if you look at, we're going to quit a little bit early today. I think we're actually supposed to go till 10:45, but this would give you a little bit of time to complete this task. I've opened a forum on our seminar, and it's qualities in a mentor. Based on your own experience and what we have studied in seminar, what qualities are you looking for? So compose a brief response which explains and identifies at least 3 mentor qualities that are valuable to you. You can bullet point it. You don't have to do like a long paragraph. That's not what this is for. We're not grading, we're not grading you like with a rubric and an essay and all that kind of stuff. You can talk as long as you want to, but you can bullet point. What we're really looking for is a brief response, identify and explain at least 3 mentor qualities that are valuable to you. Post by Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'd like all of you to read through your peers' responses and just make a few notes. You don't have to do formal responses on the discussion board, but make a few notes about your peers' responses. what is standing out to you about what they're saying? What do we all have in common? What are some key takeaways from it? And ultimately, what do you think novice teachers need the most at this stage of their professional journey? You may have some things that are, all of you may have something in common, but then you might see that there's an area where something's really important to you and nobody else is talking about it. Nobody else is saying it. We're going to talk about why that matters when you go to pursue your own mentorship in the field. And as someone who is, one of my greatest qualities is that I'm very independent. One of my greatest weaknesses is that I'm very independent. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's wonderful, and it's really not been great for me. And professionally, I've really had to put myself out there to find mentors. I don't know that I would have made it 20 years in this career if I didn't change that part of myself and try to find mentors. I don't know that I would have made it. So we're going to end here for today. I'm staying on. You technically have 15 more minutes, so you could actually go in and do this assignment right now, and that you would be finished, wrapped up, except just read through it on Sunday. But I'm staying on for anybody who needs to talk anything out with me. Lorraine, I got your email right before I got on about POP. So I'll definitely be communicating with you about that. Looks good so far. And everybody else, we're just kind of lining out dates and times that work well for your POP. If you emailed me about them, everybody except for Lorraine, I've emailed back. I think, unless somebody emailed me before I got on here. I'm going to stop recording.